Hey everyone, Matron here bringing you another StarCraft 2 commentary. This time the matchup is Huck, the Canadian darling from MLG Raleigh, versus idrA, the American who moved to Korea to pursue a StarCraft career and hasn't looked back since. idrA spawning as the blue Zerg, and Huck spawning as the red Protoss. Both of these players, very high level players. This is the finals of the winners bracket of the MLG DC tournament. So the winner of this game will move on to the grand finals of the tournament. idrA came in as a random seed, the 30th seed in this tournament. Huck came in as the #1 seed, coming off of his win at MLG Raleigh. Both players very macro oriented. See, Huck typically go for a 14 gateway. idrA likes to get out that fast expand very quickly. We've seen idrA use everything from Mutaling in this tournament to the new buffed roaches with Hydralisks. Huck typically likes to go the Colossi route, and like I said, both players just huge macro players. Should see extra bases being thrown down quickly. idrA has been asked about Huck in the past and about American players in general, or the North American players and the North American ladder. In a lot of the interviews I've seen, he seems to be pretty skeptical about how the North American players would hold up in Korea. Doesn't really trust a lot of the newer American players, especially Huck, who he is mentioned by name. So this is Huck's chance to sort of show the world that he can compete with a top level player like this. Huck is going to try to prevent this fast expand as long as he can. He's going to throw down that pylon, which idrA is going to work on, and then make his way into the base here. He is going to see this spawning pool, which went down, and idrA's saving up enough minerals to throw down this expansion. Huck no, he's not going to let that pylon finish. Huck has thrown down the gateway. Looks like he is going to go for a cybernetic score now. Has side-capped himself a little bit here, so he may be nervous. We look at both players' APM. Huck up over 300, and he's been hitting 400 earlier on. So out comes the pylon, no longer going to be side-capped, but that did slow down his probe production a little bit. He did not waste any chrono boost though, so that's one thing a lot of people make the mistake of chrono boosting when they're side-capped. idrA did get this natural up, so pretty soon he'll just start the macro game and just drone up here. He's getting that extractor up so that he can get Zergling speed quickly. As we see idrA send out these overlords, position them perfectly. This overlord's going to be able to see the left and right side of this gap, and if anything tries to move through and hit these watchtowers, he's going to know about it. First two Zerglings going to chase down this probe. Huck does want to see that that natural has been set up. Huck did get out the Zealot here, not a great wall off here. Zerglings are going to be able to run by if idrA chooses to do that. Looks like Huck is chrono boosting out the warp gate tech and throwing down a stalker as well. So these Zerglings coming out here. Looks like the hatchery is about to finish. idrA should be doing a transfer, which he's doing right now, and does have 2 queens up. So a queen at each of these hatcheries. Just going to be starting his income going. Looks like we have 23 harvesters. Huck has the advantage because of that chrono boost to 21, now 24 for idrA. Just had a bunch pop. If we look at the production tab, idrA's throwing up a spine crawler at that natural and a few lings. He is coming into the Huck's main here, into his mineral line with these lings. Going to try to pick off a probe that's on gas. Huck's going to be forced to pull these probes off of the mineral line and finally come in with the stalker. Looks like Huck has done a push here with the stalker and Zealot. The Zealot's going to be taken down by its queen and these Zerglings. Huck's just going to do his best to try to take off as many of these drones as possible. You know, idrA likes to get this drone count up, likes to get that macro game going. So he's just going to use this stalker to come in, try to pick off that creep tumor. If idrA's going for any sort of roach or hydralisk play, those creep tumors are going to be very important, as spreading creep on this map is going to help with the ground game quite a bit for Zerg. In come 2 more stalkers, so this will be 4 stalkers total for Huck. Huck has thrown down this natural expansion and is now working off 3 warp gates. Does have a few sentries coming in, so he can use some force fields. Huck just doing harassment here with these stalkers, trying to pick off drones, which he's going to be able to do. These Zerglings are going to come back here. Looks like we have a Roach Warren going down for idrA, as well as 12 Zerglings coming, 3 Roaches coming out as well. idrA's going to move the Spinecrawler and engage with these Zerglings, try to pick off the Stalker, or at least give the Spinecrawler time to bury itself. It takes 10 seconds to get back in this creep. These Stalkers are going to be surrounded by these Zerglings and taken down by the Spinecrawler, trying to take down as many drones as possible. If we look at the losses, looks like idrA's lost 16 units, mostly Zerglings and drones though, to 6 units for Huck, 950 minerals. Huck's expansion's about to come up if we look at the income tab. Both players relatively even here. Huck was able to do some good harass there, take down a number of drones, 5 or 6 at least. So 31 to 31 here. And Huck is getting up his natural and going to do a good transfer here and just start pumping out probes. Looks like idrA is moving out with a small Roach and Ling force. The Lings do have speed, and he's working on the Roach speed as well. So Huck moving out with a bunch of sentries here. He's going to try to get some force fields, kind of trap these Zerglings, but he's not going to be able to. These Roaches are going to come down and poke at this forge, try to capture a sentry there and take it down. But Huck just pulling back. So many sentries here. Looks like he's abandoned the Stalkers a little bit for these sentries and Zealots. See how that works versus those Roaches. Again, the sentries have the Guardian Shield, which is going to reduce the damage incoming by 2 from any ranged attack. We've seen Huck in the past use these force fields and really split the forces of opposing players, and then push in with your Zealots and take down the front forces, and then finally take down the back forces, which are split by the force field. Creep being spread by idrA here, just 1 creep tumor at the moment. Income relatively even for both players, but idrA does have the advantage in workers, so he may pull ahead a little bit here. He is on 4 gas though. Huck's just on 2 for now. So idrA's going to be able to tech up a little bit faster. Does only have the 2 queens here, so no 3rd queen to spread this creep, though he is doing it nicely with just this 1 creep tumor. If we look at the army count, Huck does have the advantage here, 1075 to 850 for idrA. And Huck warping in more Stalkers. Huck's able to get up a robotics facility here, as well as a cannon. Nice little wall off here, no sort of Zergling run by is going to be possible into the main. Huck's going to move out. idrA's throwing up another hatchery in his 3rd here. He did take down those rocks, also throwing down a Hydralisk den. And he's getting the level 1 ground armor. So Huck's going to move out here, he's going to get some decent force fields, though he wanted to split this Roach force in half. He's now going to capture these Roaches in here. He's going to be able to take them down. No reinforcements are going to be coming. A little bit of an over force field use there, but he did split that Roach army, so reinforcements were not able to come in. Finally, these Roaches are going to push, try to take down these Zealots. idrA's going to do some good kiting here, focus fire down these Zealots, and try to reinforce with more Roaches. Huck is going to have to pull back here. Looks like he's going to lose a number of units. He split his forces here. I'm not sure why he did that. He's going to lose the Stalkers, perhaps the Sentry here. He could also force field right here and make these Roaches go around the force field, pull back to his cannon and his reinforcements here. Instead, he's just going to have Stalkers and Sentries continue to be picked off. idrA's just playing really solid here, taking every advantage that he can. Any unit Huck's going to give him, he's going to take. And eventually it may bite him in the end. As both these players like the big macro game, you want to try to protect your units, not lose them needlessly. He was able to take down a number of Roaches with those force fields. But idrA quickly reinforcing. idrA now has his 3rd base up. He's going to do another transfer. Now 60 workers to Huck's 57. idrA scouting to make sure Huck doesn't have this 3rd base yet. Overlord's deploying here. He may drop some creep, start a highway going towards Huck's base. If we look at the army tab, 1700 for Huck. Again, mostly gateway units, a few immortals, which are a great counter to these Roaches, which idrA is coming out with. Look at the production tab. Looks like we have a number of Hydralisks coming out for idrA, 4 and 5 here. We have Zealot Charge being worked on for Huck, which is great with those force fields. He's going to be able to force field and charge in. idrA just keeping control of this map. He's got creep and sight all over here. If we look, Huck's very He's very kept into his base here, surrounded by idrA. He's not able to poke out. idrA has map control. He's got overlords all over the place. He's able to see everything. He's got Huck contained. That's the word I was looking for. Huck's again pushing out these few immortals, which are a good counter to the roaches, but the hydralisks are going to be able to attack very quickly and pierce through those immortal shields. Once those 100 shields go down, the immortals are going to take normal damage. So some focus fire down by those hydralisks, the shields will go down very quickly. Huck's going to move out here, the army tab, even 3,200. idra's been able to macro up a little bit off these 3 bases. Move in here, like to see some force fields, split these forces. Great job splitting. The hydralisks are not going to be able to attack. Huck is pulling back, try to take advantage of those force fields. Hydralisks are not going to be able to attack quite yet with those, but they did move through. And finally going to pick off these immortals. Like to see a few more force fields and keep the losses to a minimum here. If you're going to retreat, try to force field from behind here. Now we have Zealot charge, finish. Zealots are going to come in, attack the roaches there, but just not enough. These hydralisks do so much damage in the back. 17 hydralisks, great against gateway units, great against these immortals. Huck was unable to get out the Colossi here. First Colossus was coming out. idrA did a great job of contaminating it, prevent the Colossus from building, and Huck has to GG here. idrA was able to spread creep, get a good contain on Huck, keep him off that 3rd base, expand to a 3rd base himself. Looks like he was getting up a 4th hatchery here, and just macro up those roaches and hydras. He did take some losses at the start when Huck pushed out there with the stalker for harass, and then with this small army to take down a number of roaches. But idrA just bounced back, and he's going to make Huck play a perfect macro game, and Huck was just unable to do so. Possibly a few too many of those immortals did not get the Colossus out fast enough, so he had no answer for these hydralisks as idrA pushed out with them. So pretty masterful job by idrA there. Felt like he was in control the entire time, and we'll see if Huck has anything for him in Game 2. Again, this is the finals of the MLG DC, the winner of which will move on to the grand finals and face the winner in the losers bracket, which is still going on. So look forward to Game 2, which I'll be casting in just a moment. I'll see you there.